in today's class, we will try to understand what is torque and what is angular momentum. So, in this section, we shall find ourselves with two physical quantities which are defined as vector product of two vectors. These are, as we shall see, these are specially important in the direction of motion of system of particles, especially rigid bodies. So first let us understand what is moment of force. So moment of force is also called as torque. So we have learned that the motion of a rigid body in general is a combination of rotation and translation. So if the body is fixed at a point or along a line, it has only rotational motion. And we know that force is needed to change the translational state of a body. That is to produce linear state of a body. Okay, or linear acceleration we can say. So we may then ask, what is the analog of force in case of rotational motion? So to look into the question in a concrete situation, let us take the example of opening and closing of a door. So a door, as you know, it is a rigid body which can rotate about a fixed vertical axis passing through the hinges. So what makes the door rotate? It is clear that unless a force is applied, the door does not rotate. But any force does not do the job. So a force applied to the hinge line cannot produce any rotation at all. Whereas a force of given magnitude applied at right angles to the door at its outer edge is most effective in producing rotation. So it is not the force alone, but how and where the force is applied is very important in rotational motion. So the rotational analog of force is moment of force, and it is also called as torque, or it is also called as couple. So we shall use the words moment of force and torque interchangeably. Like you can use both means the same. Moment of force and torque means the same. So we shall first define the moment of force for the special case of a single particle. Later on, we shall extend the concept to systems of particles including rigid bodies. We shall also relate it to the change in the state of rotational motion, that is angular acceleration of a rigid body. So if a force acts on a single particle at a point P whose position with respect to the origin O is given by the position vector R. So let us see the figure. So as you can see the figure, if a force acts on a single particle at a point P whose position with respect to the origin O is given by the position vector R, then the moment of force acting on the particle with respect to the origin O is defined as tau is equal to R cross F. Tau is torque, R is perpendicular distance, and F is moment of force. So the moment of force or torque is a vector quantity, and the symbol tau, this symbol, it stands for the Greek letter tau, T-A-U, tau. So its magnitude is tau is equal to RF sine theta, where R is the magnitude of the position vector R, that is length of OP, if you can see the figure. And F is the magnitude of force F, and theta is the angle between R and F, as you can see the figure. So moment of force has dimensions m, L square, t power minus 2. This is the dimensional formula of moment of force, or you can say torque. So its dimensions are the same as those of work or energy. So it is, however, a very different physical quantity than work. And moment of a force is a vector while work is a scalar. So the SI unit of moment of force is Newton meter. SI unit is Newton meter. And magnitude of moment of force can be written as tau is equal to r sine theta into F. That is r perpendicular into F. Or you can write tau is equal to RF sine theta. That is R F perpendicular. So where this F perpendicular is R sine theta, and this is the perpendicular distance of the line of action of F from the origin, and F perpendicular is the component of F in the direction perpendicular to R. And one more thing you have to note, that tau is equal to 0 if R is 0, F is 0, or theta is 0 degrees or 180 degrees. So the moment of force vanishes if either the magnitude of force is 0 or if the line of action of the force passes through the origin. So one may note that since R cross F is a vector product, so properties of a vector product of two vectors apply to it. And if the direction of F is reversed, then the direction of the moment of force is reversed. So if directions of both R and F are reversed, then the direction of the motion of force remains the same. So this is all about torque. Now let us understand what is angular momentum of a particle. So just as the moment of force is the rotational analog of force, so the quantity angular momentum is the rotational analog of linear momentum. So as how you can see, linear momentum is in the case of translational motion. Angular momentum is in the case of rotational motion. So we shall first define angular momentum for the special case of a single particle and look at its usefulness in the context of single particle motion. So we shall then extend the definition of angular momentum to systems of particles, including rigid bodies. So like moment of force, angular momentum is also a vector product, and it can be referred as moment of linear momentum. Moment of linear momentum. So from the term, we can guess how angular momentum is defined. So let us consider a particle of mass m and linear momentum p at a position r, which is relative to the origin O. So the angular momentum I of the particle with respect to the origin O is defined as I is equal to r cross p. Now the magnitude of the angular momentum is L is equal to Rp sine theta, where P is the magnitude of P and theta is the angle between R and P. So we can write it as L is equal to R P perpendicular, or R perpendicular into P. Both the ways are correct. So where R perpendicular is R sine theta, which is the perpendicular distance of the directional line of P from the origin, and P perpendicular is P sine theta, that is the component of P in a direction perpendicular to R. So we expect the angular momentum vanishes, that is P is equal to 0. if the particle is at the origin, that is r is equal to 0, or if the directional line of P passes through the origin, theta is equal to 0 degrees or 180 degrees. So the physical quantities, moment of a force and angular momentum, they have an important relation between them. So there is an important relation between torque and angular momentum. So it is the rotational analog of the relation between force, like how force and linear momentum is related, the same way torque and angular momentum is related. So for deriving the relation in the context of a single particle, we differentiate I is equal to R cross P, or you can say L is equal to R cross P. So if you differentiate, you will get dL by dt is equal to d by dt of R cross P. Now we apply the product rule of differentiation. What is product rule of differentiation? First differentiate the first function, write the second term as it is. Then differentiate the second function and write the first function as it is. This is UV rule of differentiation. So now the velocity of the particle is V is equal to dr by dt. Here V is velocity. And we know that momentum is mass into velocity. So because of this, dr by dt into P is equal to V into mv, that is equal to 0. Why? Because the vector product of two parallel vectors vanishes. Further, since dp by dt is equal to F, so we can write R cross dp by dt is equal to R cross F. But R cross F is torque, tau. Hence, d by dt into d by dt of R cross P is equal to tau. Or you can say R cross P is L. So dL by dt is equal to tau. So what do you derive over here? That time rate of change of the angular momentum of a particle is equal to the torque acting on it. So this is the rotational analog of F is equal to dP by dt, which expresses Newton's second law for the translational motion of a single particle. So now we have discussed about single particle, and now let us understand about system of particles. So now we will understand about torque and angular momentum for a system of particles. So to get the angular momentum of a system of particles about a given point, we need to add vectorially the angular momenta of individual particles. So for a system of n particles, L is equal to L1 plus L2 plus so on up to Ln, that is sigma I is equal to 1 to n Li. This is how we generalize using summation. So the angular momentum of the ith particle is Li is equal to Ri cross Pi, where Ri is the position vector of the ith particle with respect to a given origin, and P is equal to MIVI because P stands for momentum and momentum is mass into velocity. So this is the linear momentum. P is the linear momentum of the particle, and the particle has mass mi and velocity vi. So we may write the total angular momentum of a system as L is equal to sigma Li, that is sigma I Ri cross Pi. So this is the generalization of the definition of angular momentum for a single particle to a system of particles. Now using these equations, we can write dl by dt is equal to d by dt of what is L? Sigma Li. So that is sigma I dli by dt. But dl by dt is nothing but tau. So I can write tau I, where tau I is the torque acting on the ith particle. So we can write tau I is equal to Ri cross Fi. So the force Fi on the ith particle is the vector sum of external forces. Fi external, we can denote like this. Fi external acting on the particle, and the internal forces Fi internal. Fi internal we denote like this. Fi int for internal, exerted on it by the other particles of the system. So we may therefore separate the contribution of the external and internal forces to the total torque. So how can we do that? Tau is equal to sigma I tau I, that is sigma I Ri cross Fi. We can write this as tau is equal to tau external plus tau internal, where tau external is sigma I Ri cross Fi external, and what is T internal? That is sigma I Ri cross Fi internal. So we shall assume not only Newton's third law, that is forces between any two particles of the system are equal and opposite, but also that these forces are directed along the line joining the two particles. So in this case, the contribution of the internal forces to the total torque on the system is zero, since the torque resulting from each action reaction pair of forces is 0. So we have tau internal is equal to 0, and therefore tau is equal to tau external. Now since tau is equal to sigma tau I, so it follows that dl by dt is equal to tau external. So what do you mean by this? That is the time rate of the total angular momentum of a system of particles about a point that is taken as the origin of our frame of reference. It is equal to the sum of the external torques, that is torques due to external forces acting on the system taken about the same point. So you can see this equation. This is the generalization of the single particle case of the previous one. So note that when we have only one particle, there are no internal forces or torques. So this equation is the rotational analog of dp by dt. So like how we write in translational motion, dp by dt is equal to f external. The same way in rotational motion, we write dl by dt is equal to tau external. Now we have an experiment. We can do it with bicycle rim. So let me draw the figure first. This is a bicycle rim. This is a point A. This is the point B. This is initial condition. And the after condition is again the same bicycle rim I will draw. A and B. So at this is the axis and this is the axis of rotation. So over here, this is after. So now you see, take a bicycle rim and extend its axle on both sides. Tie two strings at both the ends, A and B, as I have shown you in the figure. So hold both the strings together in one hand such that the rim is vertical. And if you leave one string, the rim will tilt. Now, keeping the rim in vertical position with both the strings in one hand, put the wheel in fast rotation around the axle with the other hand. Then leave one string. Let's say you leave B from your hand, like how I have shown in the next figure, and observe what happens. So the rim keeps rotating in a vertical plane and the plane of rotation turns around the string A which you are holding. So we can say that the axis of rotation of the rim or equivalently its angular momentum processes about the string A. So the rotating rim gives rise to an angular momentum. Now you determine the direction of this angular momentum. When you are holding the rotating rim with string a torque is generated. Now we leave it to you to find out how the torque is generated and what its direction is. So the effect of the torque on the angular momentum is to make it process around an axis perpendicular to both the angular momentum and the torque. So you can verify all these statements. Now you see that like the equations which I have given you hold good for any system of particles, whether it is a rigid body or it is individual particles, have all kinds of internal motion. Now let us study about conservation of angular momentum, which is very, very important. Conservation of angular momentum. So if tau external is equal to 0, then this equation dl by dt is equal to tau external reduces to dl by dt is equal to 0, or you can say L is equal to constant, because derivative of a constant is 0. So if the total external torque on a system of particles is 0, then the total angular momentum of the system is conserved. So that is, it remains constant. So now you can see it is equivalent to the scalar equations like Lx is equal to K1, Ly is equal to K2, and Lz is equal to K3. So Lz are the components of the total angular momentum vector L along x, y and z axis respectively. So the statement that total angular momentum is conserved. What do you mean by the statement angular momentum is conserved? It means that each of these three components is conserved. So this equation L is equal to constant. This is the rotational analog of the previous statement which I have given you. So it has applications in many practical situations. So we shall look at a few of the interesting applications later on in the same chapter. So now let us take a numerical. Find the torque of a force 7 I cap plus 3 j cap minus 5 k cap about the origin. And the force acts on a particle whose position vector is I cap minus j cap plus k cap. So now let us see what is R here. R is the position vector I cap minus j cap plus k cap. And F is the force vector, that is 7I cap plus 3j cap minus 5k cap. Now we know that tau is equal to R cross F. Now how do you find out the vector product? First you write I cap, j cap, k cap. Now from R you take the coefficients. 1 minus 1, 1. From F you take the coefficients 7, 3 minus 5. Now we will find the cross product. So how to find the cross product? I cap and then you cross multiply this. So 5 minus 3 minus j cap, then you cross multiply the corners. So 1 into minus 5 is minus 5 minus 7 plus k cap into cross multiply this 3 plus 7. So that is 2I cap plus 12j cap plus 10k cap. This is the torque. So if you find the cross product of R bar and F bar, you get the torque. Now you look at this figure. So let the particle with velocity v be at a point P at some instant of time t. We want to calculate the angular momentum of the particle about an arbitrary point O. So the linear momentum, what is the formula? L is equal to R into mv or R cross mv you can say. So its magnitude is mvr sine theta, where theta is the angle between R and V as I have shown you in the figure. So although the particle changes position with time, the line of direction of V remains the same, and hence OM is equal to R sine theta is a constant. So further, the direction of L is perpendicular to the plane of R and V, and it is into the page of the figure. So this direction does not change with time. Thus, L remains the same in magnitude and direction, and it is therefore conserved. Now let us understand what is equilibrium of a rigid body. This is also very important, equilibrium of a rigid body. So now we are going to concentrate on the motion of rigid bodies rather than on the motion of general system of particles. So we shall understand what effect the external forces have on a rigid body. So we shall remove the adjective external here, because unless stated otherwise, we shall deal only with external forces and torques. So the forces change the translational state of the motion of the rigid body. That is, they change its total linear momentum in accordance with the equation which I have given you. But this is not only the effect the forces will have. The total torque on the body may not vanish. So such a torque changes the rotational state of motion of the rigid body. That is, it changes the total angular momentum of the body in accordance with that last equation. What was that equation? dl by dt is equal to tau external. So a rigid body is said to be in mechanical equilibrium if both its linear momentum and angular momentum are not changing with time, or equivalently, the body has neither linear acceleration nor angular acceleration. So what does it mean? There are 2 points we can conclude here. The first point is the total force, that is vector sum of the forces on the rigid body is 0. That is F1 plus F2 plus so on up to Fn is equal to sigma I is equal to 1 to n, Fi is equal to 0. Now, if the total force on the body is 0, then the total linear momentum of the body does not change with time. So, this equation gives the condition for the translational equilibrium of the body. This is the first point we have concluded. And the second point is the total torque, that is vector sum of the torques on the rigid body is 0. So, how can we represent it? Tau 1 plus tau 2 plus so on up to tau n, that is sigma I is equal to 1 to n, tau I is equal to 0. So if the total torque on the rigid body is 0, then the total angular momentum of the body does not change with time. So this second equation which I have given you, that gives the condition for the rotational equilibrium of the body. Now you may raise a question that whether the rotational equilibrium condition remains valid. So if the origin with respect to which the torques are taken is shifted. Okay, so one can show that if the translational equilibrium condition, that is the first condition is translational equilibrium and the second condition is rotational equilibrium. So the first one holds for a rigid body, then such a shift of origin does not matter. That is, the rotational equilibrium condition is independent of the location of the origin about which the torques are taken. So we can take a special case of a couple, that is two forces acting on a rigid body in translational equilibrium. So the generalization of this result to n forces we will be discussing later. So that is sigma I is equal to 1 to n, Fix is equal to 0. Sigma I is equal to 1 to n, Fiy is equal to 0. And sigma I is equal to 1 to n, Fiz is equal to 0. Where what are these Ix, Iy and Iz? These are x component, y component and z component of the force Fi. Similarly, you can see the second equation which I have written, that is equivalent to the three scalar quantities. That is sigma I is equal to 1 to n, tau Ix is equal to 0, sigma I is equal to 1 to n, tau Iy is equal to 0 and sigma I is equal to 1 to n, tau Iz is equal to 0. Where this tau Ix, tau Iy, tau Iz are the x, y and z components of the torque tau. So you can see these two equations which I have given you. These give you 6 independent conditions of a rigid body. So in a number of problems, all the forces acting on the body are coplanar. Then we need only 3 conditions to be satisfied for mechanical equilibrium. 2 of these conditions correspond to translational equilibrium. So the sum of the components of the forces along any two perpendicular axes in the plane must be 0. And the third condition corresponds to rotational equilibrium. And the sum of the components of the torques along any axis perpendicular to the plane of the forces must be 0. And the conditions of equilibrium of a rigid body may be compared to those for a particle which we considered in earlier chapters. So since we have considered the rotational motion and it does not apply to a particle, then only the conditions for translational equilibrium apply to a particle. So for equilibrium, the vector sum of all the forces on it must be 0. So since all these forces act on a single particle, they must be concurrent. And equilibrium under concurrent forces was already discussed in the previous chapters. So a body may be in partial equilibrium, that is, it may be in translational equilibrium and not in rotational equilibrium, or it may be in rotational equilibrium and not in translational equilibrium. Such equilibrium is called partial equilibrium.